Listen, there's no time. I've got the drive to share some positive game reviews, so we're going to tackle each title one sentence after another. Now let's dive into it. F-Zero 99 brings the series back to its roots with a modern spin that enhances the chaotic, high-speed nature of its original SNES debut, and expands on that foundation with cycling game modes, challenges, and unlockable cosmetics, all serving to strengthen replayability. Exoprimal is multiplayer chaos that can be described as Overwatch meets Dynasty Warriors, featuring collaborative dinosaur extermination against a competing interdimensional squad. Which I'll tell you, with the right team and configuration, it's an adrenaline-pumping romp that really encourages those one-more-match moments. Splatoon 2's Octo expansion pivots from the familiar backdrop of previous campaigns, and presents a fresh level structure with diegetic progression and a foreboding atmosphere befitting its many challenges and puzzles, which thanks to its loadout and reward system, grants a lot of reasons to come back and adjust your approach. Pokemon Legends Arceus establishes a bold new direction with seamless transitions into battle, overworld catching with stealth-based bonuses, and the most flexible exploration the franchise has seen up to this point, all with a more involved Pokédex that encourages deeper engagement with its world and mechanics for countless hours of entertainment. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is a delightful successor to Canvas Curse with a bundle of spirited transformations to mix up its already engaging gameplay style, collectibles to keep you coming back for more, and a charming art style that's accentuated by one of the series' finest soundtracks to date. Super Mario Odyssey boasts incredible polish through its ceaseless barrage of creative challenges, versatile movement options, and a multitude of mechanics that stem from the capture ability, which is to say nothing of its streamlined progression system that keeps you in the action more than any of its predecessors. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair feels like it builds on the overworld of Donkey Kong Country 3, adopts the depth and weight of what Retro did after them, and delivers something wholly original with its dual-themed stages, the buddy system that impacts actions, and a final level accessible from the start that proves to be one of the most rewarding challenges of any platformer. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom takes the foundation built by Breath of the Wild to new heights by not only showcasing incredible building mechanics that warrant a return to familiar territory, but expands in every direction to optimize the adventure and make it feel like the definitive way to experience this style of gameplay. Monster Hunter Rise carries the refinements found in Monster Hunter World, like its seamless interconnected maps and Iceborne's Clutch Claw mechanic, and streamlines them further by way of palamutes and wire bugs to create what feels like the most approachable entry yet, with more combat and movement options than you could ever need. Splatoon 3's Side Order explores the gauntlet of missions of other campaigns in a roguelike format with a fresh coat of paint, delivering a gameplay loop that lends itself well to completionists that like to configure their stats and clear floors under conditions with risk and reward built into every choice. Pokemon Shining Pearl is a faithful return of the 4th generation that brings a few modern flourishes, like accessing the box from anywhere and experiencing the visual depths of 3 dimensions, and reimagines one of the original game's highlight features in a delightful fashion with the Grand Underground. Fantasian is a photorealistic marvel courtesy of meticulously crafted real-world dioramas for its environments, but it also delivers a turn-based combat system that doesn't rely on its visuals for all its charms, leveraging its original Apple Arcade functionality with curved attack paths that offer a refreshing dose of strategy. Star Fox Zero reimagines the familiar trappings of Star Fox 64 with new vehicles and control schemes that take the traditional mechanics of its on-rails formula and opens them up once you get a handle on how they operate, all while delivering the action with cinematic flair that couldn't be achieved back in those early entries. Animal Crossing New Horizons takes customization to the next level for a mainline entry with furniture that can be placed beyond the confines of the home, terraforming tools that can reconfigure the island itself, and crafting that encourages engaging with the environment more than previous titles, so the resources to create your perfect little community have never been better. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening brings the classic Zelda formula back with one of its most celebrated handheld adventures, capturing the magic of Koholint Island with an adorable art style and extending the mechanical updates more in line with modern sensibilities, like mapping tools to more buttons to minimize the juggling of previous versions, to ultimately serve as the definitive edition. Piece Odyssey finds a creative way to revisit series highlights while respecting continuity, and does so with a soundtrack a sun god could call golden, a stylized UI that gives its visuals a delightful dash of flair, and a turn-based battle system that sees the crew jumping between areas and corralling the competition in a way that feels distinct in an otherwise defined genre. Metal Gear Solid was ahead of its time and redefined espionage titles with its narrative intricacy, countless outside-the-box concepts that play with the medium, and the unbridled depth of its agency, granting a bevy of resources to plot paths through patrols and just explore its scenarios in creative ways. New Pokémon Snap is everything you could want in a sequel to the beloved N64 original, offering a great variety of Pokémon that showcase enough personality to justify 4 tiers of photos, more dynamic stage designs with branching paths to discover, and a hefty selection of challenges to figure out and give your expeditions more direction. The Last Story is an action RPG featuring a grounded cast of underdogs who are a delight to get to know, and an interesting approach to combat that involves coordinating directional attacks, commanding your crew, and pulling in the ire of the opposition, complete with a cover system that fuels powerful strikes. Metroid Other M blends different perspectives to deliver accessible and engaging combat mechanics, memorable sequences and set pieces, and the puzzle-centric map design that defines the series, all wrapped in a more involved, character-driven narrative than any Metroid title that came before it. Donkey Kong Country 2 not only expands on its predecessor with new mobility and collaborative mechanics, as well as a bundle of Animal Buddy mounts and transformations, but it boasts unconventional world themes for a platformer of its time and some of the most memorable music in the business that earns its reputation as one of the Super Nintendo's best offerings. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is far more than the sum of its parts, and presents a world that feels alive thanks to its scripted 3D structure, transformations and collectible masks that give the gameplay and its puzzles more creative variety, and themes that grant it a somber tone and atmosphere unlike any entry in the series before or after. Mortal Kombat 1 not only draws heavily from its 3D installments to build out what feels like its finest roster to date, but it also embraces verticality with the series' best execution of air combos yet, provides customizable movesets by way of cameo fighters, and stands as the only traditional fighting game where I routinely tackle ranked online matches. Paper Mario the Origami King does a phenomenal job incorporating puzzles into its ring-based combat system and leverages its paper-based aesthetics in creative ways, taking every opportunity to toss out goofy dialogue and ideas to make the adventure feel anything but flat. Pokken Tournament takes some surface-level fundamentals from Tekken and hits them with a phase shift to split the field between projectile-heavy arena skirmishes and traditional 2D duels, bringing a diverse cast of Pokémon, a combat system layered with depth for those looking to find it, and flashy specials that supply some splendid spectacle to the proceedings. Kirby and the Forgotten Land takes the traditional formula from its 2D predecessors and brings them into 3D in a way that feels natural, while also breaking the mold with upgradable abilities and a mouthful of unique mechanics to diversify the platforming, all wrapped in the foil of a dystopian world that exemplifies and realizes the dashes of darkness found throughout the series. Fire Emblem Three Houses establishes an ambitious branching narrative with 3 routes that feature distinct interplay and growth, hosting character interactions in a setting that immersively expresses the passage of time, and strengthens the relationships built there through the series' strategic combat interspersed through its chapters and weekly engagements set at your own pace. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast might have switched platforms and left the bongos behind, but it captures the peripheral's frantic action with racing that's best experienced as a combo-building gauntlet, because the thrill that comes from racking up a multiplayer against an underrated soundtrack is hard to beat. Metroid Dread feels like a natural evolution of the series following the refinements of Samus Returns, and delivers a diverse, intricate map that silently guides you with its intuitive design, which is to say nothing of its challenging boss battles, emboldening sense of progression, and haunting atmosphere courtesy of the Emmys. Killer Instinct is an incredible accomplishment as a seasonal game split between studios, but it manages to come together as a cohesive experience that captures the spirit of the original WarioWare titles and cranks the spectacle to the max with combos that are fun to pull off even at a casual level. WarioWare Get It Together revitalizes the classic formula with a bevy of characters that give each microgame a range beyond what's been done in the franchise before, but without sacrificing the quickfire nature of its core gameplay. And that's before mentioning the marvelous modes in its variety pack, the online challenges of the Wario Cup, and all the unlockables that give the grind more meatier rewards. Well, there you go, folks. Now that I've got that out of my system, I want to pass some questions off to you. Do you agree with my reviews? Do you have a favorite out of the batch? And perhaps most importantly, are there any games here that you'd like to see me explore more down the road? Let me know in the comments and we'll get that conversation started. I'll be sure to review them all.